Hello, girl. How are you?
Baby, I am amazing. And yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this premiere episode of Getting to After. My name is Chatone Morrison. I am the Princess of Positivity, and this is my lovely co host.
I'm Morgan Bustos. Hey, everybody. Good morning.
Yes, together we are Getting to After. And today we're going to be talking about something that I know everyone has lots of on their plate, but for some reason it's getting pushed over. It's getting way pushed over. As a
Mm.
confidence coach and an EFT practitioner, I am here to help you understand that the obstacles that you faced up to this point don't have to keep you stuck. There's never a time where it's like, I can't change. Yes, you can. And we make it easy. Well, I say, what, Morgan? Can I say easier?
Easier.
Yeah, I don't want to lie out here. We make it easier by teaching you things like grounding, how to really get a good breath in, and how to use emotional freedom technique. Morgan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, lady?
You guys, I'm Morgan Bustos, and I just am here because I absolutely love women. I love helping people, and I like being able to give women the courage and the confidence that they need to help get through the next steps, whatever that may look like. So today here we're talking about midlife and the non-negotiables and how they often surface from burnout, betrayal, and simply just being stretched way too thin. So
It's a great topic, right? So let's go ahead and jump right in. I love this topic because it's something that has often been an issue. So first things first, let's talk about like what non-negotiables are. And I want to just kind of dive into why we chose this topic. And it's interesting of all things that we have this topic on non-negotiables, Morgan. We've been trying to put this one out since April. It's June.
it
I
was a
don't know what happened.
non-negotiable.
It was
We were
not,
going to get it out,
well,
right?
let's put it this way. At least it was a non-negotiable that we didn't forget about it, but we had other pressing things.
Mhm.
But yeah, like it kept getting pushed off. And so we haven't had a chance to do this one, but I'm really happy. A non-negotiable is something that you're like, I'm not going to debate this anymore. I'm going to make this happen. It could be a belief, a behavior, but it's something that you've said to yourself, it's essential to my well-being. It has to happen. And today
Mhm.
I know we're going to delve into some of what ours are. I want you as an audience to be thinking about what are yours and are you saying yes to them? Because oftentimes we know what they are, but for
Mhm.
some reason we're not saying yes to them. We're not owning the yes. We're not claiming the yes. And we're not saying no to enough things in order to actually jump into our non-negotiables.
That's a really, really good point. You know what? Let's share a few of our non-negotiables, and
Okay.
why they help us and what they
Okay.
protect us.
Okay. 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 All right. So, shall I go first?
Yes.
It's interesting because one of them is this podcast. It's really important. And obviously, you and I both have such busy schedules. We're both
Mhm.
moms. We're both, we have these young adults and you have teenagers as well. And we have all these things going on. But this podcast is one of both of our non negotiables that every single week we're going to premiere an episode on Mondays. We used to be trying to tape on Mondays. And now we're like, we're just going to make sure that we air and we drop an episode. And that means even through the summer, which you and I both, our schedules are like, a little maddening. Cray, and then a third cray. Okay.
Mhm.
But this is important. It's a non negotiable because our audience is important to us. And even though we're small, we thank every single one of you for joining us every week because our messaging is really important and it helps you to really get to those next steps. So for me, I would say that stillness. I need
Mhm.
silence every single day. I'm a talker. I'm a content creator and I'm creating content every day. I know you're surprised, right?
You like
Um, I know you were like, what? No,
what?
not you. Not you. Yes. Um, but because of that, of all things, I need silence,
Mhm.
even if it's 10 minutes. So much of my time, is spent in doing for others, and that's great. My ministry, my family, our audience, my coaching clients, etc. But if I don't get some stillness in every single day, even 10 minutes, I try to go for 20 or 30. But if I can't get that, then I'm just no good. So it's a non-negotiable because it's something that is almost like an act of betrayal if I don't get it in. And it starts to show right away. Like the edges fray immediately. And everyone's like, what happened to her? So
Right?
it starts to show. Um,
Mhm.
and so for me, of course, how do I do? I go grounding, especially now that it's warmer. You're going to find me outside on my driveway or in the grass, with my toes out, getting that grounding in because that helps me to stay still. The second one, of course, we talk about this all the time, is taking care of my skin.
Mm.
There are days, Morgan, I know you have these days you're like, I just don't care. I'm not washing
I
my face.
washing my face.
And what happens?
I get breakouts. My pores start getting big. I'm looking kind of rough. Okay, a lot of rough.
Well, see, I didn't even mean that. I can't do it. In other
Mm.
words, I'm laying there and I'm like, I'm so tired. And even if it's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, if I touch my eyelashes and they're hard, I'm like, I did not. I have to get up. It's
You
that much. It's that ingrained. I will not. I cannot do it.
So what really helped me with that is keeping my cellar water and my makeup
Yes.
remover and my cotton rounds next to my bed for the days where I am too tired to do that, so I can at least
Yes.
be like,
Yes. Yeah.
Mm,
And I think, I mean, I did that for a long time. Obviously, I've had this ongoing eye issue and I refuse to stop wearing makeup. So I have to be very meticulous about what I put on my eyes and what I put. But I mean, just my skin itself, my
mhm,
skincare, taking care of my neck, my décolleté area. When I do it, and I don't think about it, when something becomes a non negotiable, it should be almost ritualistic enough that it's not something that you think about.
yeah.
If you talk to some people, they may call you a name like vain, or no, they think, you're just like an it girl and all of that. And funnily enough, funny enough, I don't take that as an insult. So for all of you haters, yes, I'm a little vain when it comes to my skin. My mama taught me that.
Mhm,
But the truth is that it does again, it probably goes along with the stillness, it brings me down. It brings
mhm,
me down after my day so that I can kind of start that wind down period. I think my body knows, "Okay, we're washing our face now. It's time to come down for the day." So, I would recommend that if that's not one of your non-negotiables or if it's, like, on a back burner for any of you who are listening, go ahead and push it to the front burner
yeah.
because it changes you, and if you have trouble because you as we're saying, you get so tired because 'cause you're running all day, do it once you get home. Like, if you're a makeup girly or if, hopefully, at least in the summer, you're wearing your sunscreen, do it when you get home. Don't wait till you're before bedtime.
That's a really good point. I remember when you suggested that to me, like, years ago, you're like, "Mo, as soon as you get home from work, when you take your shower," she's like, "You're like, just do your whole skincare routine then, because
Yeah.
then you're already tired because you just got home from work, and that thing, so just go ahead and take care of it." That was such a huge help.
It's so I typically don't do it because I usually run right into the house and I'm usually cooking right away or something like that. But
Mhm,
the reason why I don't is because that non-negotiable for bed, it's not gonna be like, "I'm too tired." I'm
mhm,
going to get it done. So that's one for me. It may seem very small, very frivolous, but I see the benefits right away. I reap the benefits on my skin itself, but I also reap the benefits in that quiet moment because typically when I'm doing that either in the morning or in the evening, there's no one around. And now
mhm.
that my house is shrinking, my son is off working and little girlfriend's married, I get a lot more alone time in the house. I'm not sad. Just want you all to know that. Oh, I miss them.
Mm,
Anyway, speaking of that, one of the third one, I mean, I have so many, but
mm,
important ones. These are some of the small things and some of the big things is boundaries.
mm,
Now, we're always going to be talking about boundaries here and getting to after because one of the main problems that women in midlife have are maintaining them, creating them, or being able to uphold them over time and not letting cracks get in those boundaries. I
mm,
think, Morgan, that's one of the main reasons why um, the non-negotiables get pushed back is because our boundaries get lowered and lowered and lowered, and then next thing you know, things kind of crashing over top of it.
mm,
It's interesting. My son, just started a job, and he has his first cubicle in his life, his first little, desk job, and my daughter, because she was in a cubicle job before, was saying like, "Oh, at least your cubicle walls are not too high," and it made me think about boundaries because sometimes you have the boundaries and they're just where they need to be so that you don't let things in that are going to take you off your mark.
mhm.
And somehow they get lower and lower and lower. Next thing you know, they ankle height. That's not going to help you. So having boundaries that allow you to say, this is the time for me, or right now I'm doing less, or this
Mm,
is just for my family time, or as you've mentioned before, this is the time where I'm going to turn this off.
yeah.
Or for me, like this period of time in the summertime, it's like I'm going to spend more time outside. That means I have to say no to some other things. So
Mhm,
that's where that owning your yes and your no is. It doesn't mean you become selfish all of a sudden. It just means that if something isn't mine to hold on to, I'm not going to hold on to that. If someone wants to give it to me, I'm going to say no, thank you. Right. And learning to say no, thank you, that it's okay and it
mhm.
doesn't make you a bad person. It's all right. You're taking care of you right now, is all a part of maintaining those non negotiables. All right. So, what about you?
Um, I'd have to say rest, like learning that that is a non-negotiable for me anymore because of my fibromyalgia, knowing that my body will shut down for me if I don't stop, right? So like constantly being on the go and having to take care of things and being all over the place. If I don't stop and just be still for a minute, like my
It's a
body,
problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really big problem for me. So um I would have to say even yeah, even just going in the middle of the day, like, I'm not a napper, but literally just going and laying down and being flat helps
Mhm.
me so much because it takes, like, the pressure off of my spine,
Yes.
neck, and so it just kinda gives me that little reboot, even if I'm not resting my eyes for, like, a long time, just being able to be still long enough to reboot, rest and reboot, basically, so
So,
that's
so let me ask you about that because I know that, we both have, well, you have jobs certain days of the week that allow you to do that. And some people don't ever have those kind of, careers where they're able to be at home or lay down on the couch.
mhm.
What could you recommend that they might do to kind of put in those little pieces of rest if they need it?
Oh, absolutely, so go to your car. Go out to your car. I've talked so many times about that, like, my car is my favorite place in the world. I put on my music and I'll lay my seat down, or I'll even just go for a drive. It sounds silly, like, I'll go for a drive in our neighborhood just to get away from things, you know? It helps so much just taking that couple of minutes for yourself, and then the music helps a lot too because then
Absolutely.
it completely puts your mindset somewhere else, the
Yeah.
frequency that it gives off just when you
Yeah.
hear that really, really good song and you just can't help but, like, you get energized?
Yeah.
Well, it works either way. You can find that to help boost you up or kinda calm you down a little bit, but then also just the tapping,
Yeah,
really,
of
like, no
course.
matter what.
And doing all that at the same time, laying down, tapping. And I want to just mention one, if you have a job, I always worked in corporations and now I work from home. I always worked in corporate spaces. And I will promise you that no one is going to look down on you in your corporate space if they have like a lounge area, a rest area. My very first job, I was 16 years old, did not know at that time I already had raging fibroids at 16.
Mm,
My period was the worst, and I'm not gonna derail this conversation talking about health stuff, but it was the worst, and I didn't know. I didn't even know, I just knew that, I was, like, taking Midol and Pamprin and extra strength top, like, round the clock, and I was working my first job, meaning that I was in 11th and 12th grade. So I was not 20. I was a teenager. And what I found out one day, I was walking through, I worked for IBM, my very first job, I worked for IBM. And I was walking through the hall and I saw someone come out of this room. I didn't even know the room existed. So, I
mhm,
was 16, I was curious. So people, why was there like maybe it was like it almost looked like a doctor's table,
mhm.
but the woman who was in there had been laying down. And
Oh,
so it wasn't a bed, but it was like a doctor's table. So it had that polyurethane type situation there, but there was like a pillow there. And she would just, so I found out later on, her name was Yvonne Talbot. I can't believe I just brought her name out. What? Shout out to you, Yvonne. What? I'm gonna have to go and look her up on Facebook. So crazy. I haven't said that name since I was
things you
16 or
remember.
17. Woo!
Mm,
Um, I had to ask her, and she was like, sometimes I just have to go rest my eyes. I don't feel well. And she would be in the dark. I think she had migraines. Once I learned that, on every job I've ever had, I found that space in the place right there. So after that, I learned it there when I was having my cycle and it was bad. I would go in there and I would lay down for a little bit, 15 minutes and put the lights off. When I left that job, the next job didn't have that. So I did have to do my car. So I would drive out. No, my next job did have was a chiropractor and he had the table. So when someone wasn't using that room, I would go in and lay down. Same issue, always my cycle. Later on, when I was in my 20s and married, I would have to go to the park in my car. So it's the same idea. It was stillness for me. At the time, it was rest and like bringing it down because I was in a lot of pain.
Mm,
I find in midlife, Morgan, that we won't give ourselves that because we're running. And
mhm,
it's like I can't let anyone know that I need downtime. I can't let anyone know that I need a break. And it's so damaging.
well, see, and that was that kinda ties in with my second one, which is, like, being able to tell the truth about things. Like, for
Mm,
such a long time, I would hide my voice just to keep the peace for things because I was so worried about, like, stirring up the pot, or saying what I actually needed because then I felt selfish or I felt like I was being, like, I don't know, justifying things or, like, just trying to explain or whatever it was going
yeah.
on. But then I learned it's okay for me to say, "I'm not okay. I'm
Mm,
tired." Like, my throat like, even right now, I've been sick for a couple weeks, so, like, my whole chest is killing me and my throat's killing me. So, being just kind enough to say, "Hey, hold on a second. I need to pause for a minute so I can go make myself some tea, or I need my cough drops," or whatever it is. Just using your voice to say, "This is what I need to better take care of myself so I can show up
yes.
to take care of everybody else," you
Yeah.
know?
Everyone just I don't want y'all to think that I'm a slave driver and that I'm making her do the pod with a bad throat, okay? Okay. She said I can do it, Shaitan. You have this you got me thinking that I'm just like, I don't care about your throat.
Do you
Like,
see she let me get my cough drops. She was nice enough to let me get my cough drops. I didn't get to put it in my mouth, but she
give
said,
me
"You
a
can look
bad
at it."
give me a bad name, you know what I'm saying? She didn't even tell me her throat was hurting. So for real though, I know where you're coming from though, and I know that coming from an abusive relationship, of course, it was never about you having downtime,
Mm,
especially in the relationship you were in, which was extremely harsh relationship. It was physical, but it was also the gaslighting, the mental abuse, and it makes you if I just keep going, if I keep running, and if I don't rest, and if I ignore all the red flags and all the signs that I have, then
mm.
maybe things will be better. And we all know that that's not true.
Well, and then there was also, like, if I keep doing things, he'll find something has gotta please him. Something's gotta make him happy. Like, I'm doing so much, he's gotta give me some kind of praise and acknowledgement. So you're seeking that and seeking that and seeking that. And then you feel guilty because if you do sit down and take a minute for yourself, because then it makes you feel like they've told you're being lazy or, you're inadequate or incompetent and things like that. It was funny because I was talking to my friend about that the other day, how constantly staying active, like, is I think we talked about this too on one of our episodes, is a way to kinda deflect and
Oh
not
yeah,
to acknowledge what is going on with ourselves and address, like, the deeper issues, so
the law of distraction.
yes. Yep, exactly. So, um, I think with that, that's definitely making sure that I just say what I need, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the craziest part, dude, is realizing that I'm allowed to be like, "Yeah, I'm not okay. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm not okay. You know what? I need to go lay down. I'm not okay. I'm just walking away from this conversation because I don't want to have it with you right now."
Yeah,
Even being able to say that, do you know how powerful that is? To be able to speak that and say, "I'm not okay with this." My sensories are, like, overloaded,
yeah.
and I take a step back, you
And
know?
it's a way to self-regulate. In July, we're going to be talking a little bit more about. We're going to just tip into a little bit more about self-regulation through EFT and some other modalities. Morgan's been wanting to get on here and talk to us about EDMR, so we're going to make sure that we get her into doing that in the month of July. And it will also we will be highlighting some of this information about how do you regulate yourself in the summer issue of getting to After the Easy.
Mm.
Morgan, I already know what your third one is because this is what we talk about all the time. But why don't you share with our audience so that they know what helps? What are some of the things? Another one of the things that's a non-negotiable for you.
It's tapping. Like, I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but it really is the tapping. Even when, I would be preparing, like, certain clips for us to put on other formats, you know what I mean, on Instagram and TikTok and things like that, going through the motions in that
Yes.
moment, like, I'm doing it to help other people, right? But it is helping me so much
Yeah.
in the meantime,
Yeah.
or even, like, with some of my clients when I'm preparing things for them, sometimes I'll do, I'll do, like, a recording for them so that they
Mhm.
can throughout the day and do it throughout the day over and over again if
Mhm.
I'm, you know, um, and it's so helpful. It's so helpful. So, like, you know how we talk about those borrowing benefits? Even
Yep.
if you're doing it for somebody else or you're still doing it on yourself, still I'm able to receive that. But the way that it calms my nervous system, mama, is it's remarkable. You know, like I've had a wicked headache for weeks now, and then all of a sudden one of my friends like, "Well, did you tap on it?" And I said, "Oh." I kid you not. I kid you not. As soon as I tapped on it, I went around my issue, like, and then everything was just surfacing, surfacing, surfacing. You know, I was like, okay, it's right here in the back of my head, and it is shaped like a bowling ball, and it is black and heavy, and it does have holes in it. And I was just able to do the whole visualization with it.
Mhm.
I worked through it and like worked on the karate chop point, and I said my stuff around it. I was like, oh my goodness, all of this is attached to me having to move again.
Mhm.
All of this is attached
Mhm.
to me being in fight or flight again without even realizing it, because what month is
Wow.
we're in June.
Yeah.
Where was I 6 years ago at the end of
Yeah.
there was a
Yeah.
whole bunch of madness
Yep.
going. So, it took me back without even realizing it, you know, your cells in your your
Our
cellular
pay them like, "Hi,
yeah,
we remember."
they're like, "Did you forget? Obviously you did.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
remind you." And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
being able to tap through that has been really helpful for me.
So, for anyone else who may be experiencing anything like this, or, not, putting their non-negotiables on the back burner, we're like, these are the tip of the iceberg. There's so many more,
Mhm.
that we both have: hydration and movement and grounding. But then there's other ones too, like eating regularly, using the
In the
bathroom.
room.
Using the bathroom, I mean, it's small, but it's not. Taking yourself on a date, taking
Oh,
your husband on a date, taking your
yeah.
children on a date, taking the time to do things, and then other things are, you know, not procrastinating can become a
Mhm,
non-negotiable for you, because if not, it can become a habit. And I think that non-negotiables can get created. If you're not sure where your non-negotiables are, you think, oh, that's like luxury. I just have to keep just going through everything and not coming up with things that are going to actually grow you, or things that are going to groom you to being your best self. And I put that in quotes because is anyone, but the better self
mhm.
is remembering that whatever things that you're struggling with, the things that you always put on the back burner, the things that those are usually on the other side of it. If you flip it over, there's probably not negotiable in there.
Hmm.
Because typically, because we are so used to putting ourselves last, the thing that you really most want to do, if you say to yourself things like, I should, that word should will tell you where your non negotiables are.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you'll say, "I should call my girlfriend. I should, we haven't seen each other in a long time. I know her mom was sick. I should call her." That's a non-negotiable for you. Stop playing. Stop putting it off. Take care of it. Do it. You will feel that release from taking care of it. So look for those statements when you say those are the things you keep not doing.
mhm.
Those are probably the non-negotiables when you turn them over, that once you do them, you're going to feel a really nice energetic release from that.
I remember the day that you told me, you're like, "Honey, I know it's overwhelming for you." So she go your non-negotiables or just your list of stuff that you need to take care of. You're like, "Just do it all in one day or just set aside 1 week and, like, just focus on that because then it gets completely taken care of.
Like,
It's done and over with." Yeah, and so you're not carrying it into the next day and the next day and the next day. Like, just set
yeah,
aside a day to completely shut everybody out, shut everything out, and just focus on that, and that
absolutely.
helps a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is that obviously getting to after we're talking to women in midlife. So, you guys out there 40 and up, right? Sometimes we not even sometimes, but we live in lack of clarity. And you hear us talk a lot about clarity. You hear Morgan a lot of times say, "I remember when you told me this. I remember when you told me that." That's because we've been friends a really, really long time. And I was with her through a lot of trauma and a lot of crisis. But
Mm,
at this point, when things are starting to clear and she's in midlife, right? And I'm in a different part of midlife, it really is the perfect time to get clear. Because if not, you go into older age or into that mature age and you're
mm.
really befuddled. because
Mm.
then you can't do, either your body won't let you, or maybe your finances won't let you, or maybe your relationship changes, or you become a widow, different things, and you really can't do those things. It's like, dag nabbit, I miss the opportunity to take care of them.
And you get to that point when you are in midlife where you just realize, "Oh my goodness, I've been doing so much for everybody else, and I forgot to take care of myself." And you forget what you need, and so it gets to a moments where it's like, "Okay, something's gotta change.
Yeah.
Something's got to."
Yeah. So we don't define what matters most right now. And again, ever since I've been coaching, that's been one of my mottos, that I help women focus on what's most important. If we don't define it for ourselves, life will define it. If you
Mm,
don't choose your non-negotiables, someone else will do it. You can do it at work, you can do it at home, you know, your energy, your exercise, your eating, whatever it is. If you don't, like, for myself, I know I before you knew me, Morgan, when I tell you how I lived in a gym, when
mm,
I tell you that I would not come home from a gym, and because it wasn't even non-negotiable, it was part of my fiber to live in the gym. I was in the gym 6 days a week. It wasn't about losing weight. It wasn't about, I literally thrived on it. I had so much stress at work. Caitlin was small, and it was just like that was my time. And I had
mhm,
a personal trainer. I did the classes. I did the thing. I was on a machine. Like, I was a crazy person. And because, again, because I didn't define and put self control around that, I did hurt myself.
mm,
And that, I'll never forget the day I was living here in Maryland when I hurt my ankle, and I was in this class and I needed to keep pivoting my foot. I think I was doing, I don't know, probably typo, something crazy. And I had to keep pivoting my foot, and my ankle was hurting, and it was hurting, and it was hurting. I was just like, but I was that girl in the front of the classroom, and I
mm,
defied the odds because I was a thick girl in the front, lots of confidence, and every move was stuck, right? But
mm.
my ankle was in a treacherous condition,
Aw,
treacherous condition. And the thing about it is that now I can't, like, I don't look back and regret that, but I wish I would have loved myself more than I loved the moment that I was in, because I should have cared for that, and I may have had less issues now, because now I can't work out like that. Now it's like I have to be very careful about what I do. So sometimes we don't care for ourselves the way we should. And that's why I love when you're saying, like, rest. For
mm,
so many of the people that you and I work with, they've had accidents, or they've had, health issues. Fibromyalgia is a big one. Chronic fatigue is a big one. And it can make you feel ick.
mm,
Crohn's disease, having things like irritable bowel, like, and I have lots of those things. And it can make you feel the whole ick because
mm,
you have to say no.
mhm,
But it's the worst ick, okay, if
mm,
you say yes to things that you really can't handle in that moment. And so a non-negotiable has to be saying, I'm going to put a limit around my schedule. I'm going to put a limit around my energy. I'm going to put a limit around the people that I'm allowing in so that I can take good care of myself.
exactly, because that's when you realize you can start becoming resentful too,
Oh, yeah.
because you're allowing too many yeses out there, and
Yeah.
so then the clarity around that is realizing that you need to be kind to yourself so that you can also be kind to others.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's ask this. How will you own your yes and your no? Like, how will you do it? Because one of the things is that we know we need to. The question is, will you? Like, will you do it?
Mm,
And how to identify how to protect them. So the first thing is identifying what they are,
okay.
and then figuring out, once we kind of figure out what they are, we're not talking about this like this cloud like thing, like non-negotiables. It can be very tangible,
Mm,
very, very tangible. For example, one of my non-negotiables is I eat vegetables every single day.
mhm,
I don't feel good when I don't eat vegetables. I feel better when I do. And if I look at a day that looks like the vegetables are not going to happen later on in the day, I'm gonna eat them in the morning.
mm,
Sometimes Wednesdays are some of my toughest days. Sometimes Thursdays are my toughest days because I'm in Virginia. Sometimes Fridays, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's not going to happen because my days are so, so long and I don't have the time to give myself the nutrients that I want. I'll do it in the morning. I
mhm,
will cut up myself a little zucchini, or I'll put a little spinach with my eggs, whatever it means. I make sure of that because it helps myself. So let's make this practical. Some of the questions that you can ask yourself are, what drains me every time I say yes to it?
mm,
So physically for me, again, if I were to say, um, you know, which is crazy because it seems like it's usually like pizza, like I crave pizza, like I love pizza. It drains me so bad when I eat it. I feel the whole ick. I feel sluggish. I feel gross. Like I can't eat it. Now I could eat cauliflower pizza, but like who wants to do that? But I can, but it's not as fun. Every time I say yes to eating certain things because of my particular body makeup and my particular health, it's a mistake for me.
That's
So go ahead.
No, that's just like when I'm in a super big hurry and I'll be silly and I'll stop at a drive-through and get something. I'm in the drive-through and I'm like, "Morgan, you don't want this. You work Is there a Chopped nearby? Can you just run in and get something else?" And then I get it and I put it in my mouth and it's before it even hits like my
It doesn't
stomach,
even get through the esophagus.
I'm just like, "Oh," I feel my body drain. I immediately feel that like, oh, just sluggish yuck feeling.
And everyone doesn't feel that way. So we're not dissing anybody's food choices. If that
Mm-mm,
works for you, that's fine. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for you, Morgan. And I think that at my age, it doesn't really work, because I need nutrients. But that's just one of them. Then the next thing would be like, well, what makes me feel like myself again? So again, there are times where, like the other day, I actually bought um, Chicago Una pizza, but they were like at the food market. So they
uh,
were flatbread pizzas. They had lots of vegetables, protein, chicken, etc. Bought them because I know the young man wanted it. And I allowed myself like a small piece. Like it was small, but I had a big salad with it, etc., etc. For me, if I do have to, and I'm just going to use food, if I have to eat something that's like really outside of my comfort zone, it
mhm,
can be comfort food, but it's outside of my comfort zone. Then the way I make myself feel good again, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have like a cup of hot tea. Help me
mhm,
digest that. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some enzymes. I'm going to take some magnesium. I'm going to take like the things that I need, and I'm probably going to try and go for a walk. So I want to get it moving out of my system. People may like, where are you going? I'm going to take care of myself right now.
mhm,
I don't have to describe all that. I don't have to explain all of that. This is me taking care of me. And then the third thing would be like, what do I crave when things feel out of control? Like, what do I really want when things feel out of control? And again, we've talked about something. I'm going to want to ground. I'm going to want to tap, but I'm also going to want to talk to someone. I am a person who doesn't necessarily introvert when things are crazy. I'm going to want to talk to somebody. That may be my husband, that may be my sister. I'm going to need those things. And if I don't get them, and you can ask Big Sissy, I will blow up your phone. And Morgan, you party to that where I'm like, I know that you're going to answer one of these days. That's because I'm craving, like, things are out of control and I need to hear them.
yeah,
And sometimes a person doesn't have to say a thing to me. I'm already a coach, right? But I just need to hear it come out of my mouth. So it comes back. I'm like, okay, all
yeah,
right, I know what to do now.
mm,
So you can take whatever your answer to those are three simple ways and turn those into insights for yourself so that you say, okay, what do I really need? What are those boundaries that I need to now create for myself to figure
mm.
out what my non-negotiables are?
I think and one of mine too is like not taking calls super, super late. Like I
Oh,
used to have to be accessible all the time, for our safety. And so making that boundary of like, okay, dude, I'm not going to after like 9:30, not at the latest, like 10 o'clock, because I needed to be able to have that moment for myself
yeah,
where I know I'm allowed to shut down, where
yes,
I'm allowed to have peace, I'm allowed to be still, I'm allowed to be whatever I need or want to be. Or what if I just wanna be what if I just wanna be scrolling? Or what if I want to be
that's
reading
right.
something? Or if I wanna study, like, knowing that I can
Right.
disconnect at that moment is really, really helpful for me too.
Except
Um,
for me, because I call you.
all the time,
I
I
might
love
call you at 1 a.m.
But
Actually, truth be told, I won't do that. I'll look and see when was the last time you were online. I look at your WhatsApp and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to bother her, or the funny thing about us, and you guys have to know this, and maybe you have that girlfriend. Then what we'll do is we'll send like a 5 minute voicemail, and then underneath it'll be like, you don't have to listen to this right now.
not right now.
So and she doesn't respond, I'm good. But sometimes, especially when we're working together, we're co-working on a project, I just need those eyes at that time. That's different. This is
Right.
entrepreneurship. Sometimes you need them. But I know what you're saying by creating those kinds of boundaries. And it's
Mhm.
tough as a mom too, because for the most part, and I don't know what that age is, because here's Caitlin, 23, has moved out. And I probably leave my phone on now more than I did when she lived here because I knew when she was coming home. I knew it was what, and I know that Anthony's got her and he's got her back and everything. Like, who's got Anthony, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I feel like I've got two kids across town that I'm thinking about, and so my phone it's off, but it's it's like let that call through.
And it's making those exceptions and making those, just being balanced about it. And if you need to shift and pivot with it, okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Just work with yourself. Another thing for me is, and it sounds silly, but like not multitasking while I'm eating because I'm constantly on the go. And so I'm always going like a million miles an hour with everything that I'm doing. I'm like Mach 5 with my hair on fire all the time
yes.
until I stop, my body stops me, and then I'm down for days, right? But
Don't
something
I know it?
like something as
Yeah,
simple as just sitting down and
yeah,
while I'm eating, it has tone. It has been such a blessing because I'm telling myself, I know it sounds silly, but I'm telling myself, you deserve to be
yeah,
still. You deserve to enjoy the meal that's going into your mouth. You to enjoy the flavors, to enjoy it filling your
yeah,
body and like filling it, like your arteries and like your bloodstream, like filling it going into your
yeah,
body and
yeah.
feeling nourished.
It's an
Like
act of self-love.
yeah, it is an act of love.
Act of
It
self-love.
truly is. And whereas before, like, I wasn't able to do that, and
Yeah,
a lot of moms are. We're constantly on the go. We're
yeah.
constantly doing those things. So just being still, and then there's the guilt that comes behind that of being still for too long. So then having to learn to push that to the side and saying like, this is love for me because I can't take care of everybody else if I don't take care of myself, right?
So let
So
me ask you something real quick, Morgan, and we go, we're very real time here. Are you open to a little bit of coaching? I think that will really benefit our audience.
loved it.
So at least three times during this episode, you said, "I know it sounds silly, but."
Huh. I
So I'm
did.
going to ask you to reframe that. How could you reframe that? Because I think that is another reason why we push our stuff to the back burner because we literally do feel that,
Mhm.
And if you don't feel comfortable doing it here on air, think about that because those little statements that we make before we tell our truth, it negates our
It
truth.
does, doesn't it?
Yeah. And we don't, I know what you mean when you're saying it, but I want to bring it out because there's someone who's listening who's saying that. But
Mm.
what their brain is hearing is that this is actually really silly. And you have to stand up for it. And you have to explain it away.
Mm.
So you're saying you don't have to explain it, but then you're explaining it and calling it a name. I don't get down with that. Words are so powerful
They are, for sure.
that when we say those things like you could never be a silly person. You are such a serious woman, such a serious mom, such a serious Christian, such a serious entrepreneur. You could never be silly. And so whatever you need, whatever you realize that you need, whatever those non-negotiables are, it's never silly. I don't care what it is. I only use Ticonderoga pencils and it's a non-negotiable. I meanwhile I feel that. Like I feel that. It's probably one around here right here on my desk. You know what I'm saying? So I'm making a joke about it, but I just wanted you to pay attention to that
Mm.
because we our bodies hear those things.
Mhm.
And those are the things you want to tap on like even though I think this is silly
Mhm.
because you say it so often. Someone told you at some point enough times that everything you think, Morgan, everything you want to do is silly, or it's not going to be recognized, or it's not going to it's not going to happen, or you're never going to be able to realize it, or that it's juvenile. Because silly, you think about joking, something that's a joke, and there's nothing about anything that you say, do, or are that's a joke. And I just want you to just let that resonate for a hot second
Mhm.
for our audience as well. We don't plan any of this. It came in my like I was like, I gotta say this right now because it's that true. It's so important.
Do you see how we do, you guys? Like, we're here in the middle of a podcast trying to teach you, just share it, just spitting truth left and right. And here, like, this is the love and communication that we have between each other, that in that moment in time, like Chatone felt, you know what? This needs to be addressed now. Like, because it is a teaching moment for everybody. And especially,
Everybody does it. I do it.
yeah.
I do it. But that's the whole thing. We're talking about non-negotiables. If we don't respect what they are and
Mm,
respect the way we talk about them,
mm.
Because it's one thing to say, these are my non-negotiables, and it's so important, and I put myself first in balance. And another thing to say, but when I do it, it's silly.
Mm. Well, even with that, learning that I don't need to over explain my no's. No is a complete sentence. That was the biggest gift I ever learned is like, I don't no, boom, and then turn and walk away. I don't even have to stay there and engage in any more of the conversation. I said no and turn and walk away. But over explaining just comes from, once again,
I know, I
you
know.
all of that trauma, and I hate that it goes back to that, and that's why it's so important to work through things and, like, get the help you need, get the counseling you need, get the whatever it is, use your tapping to work through these things or whatever modality you have to, because once you get to that point where you're secure enough with yourself to be able to look somebody in the eyes and be like, "No,
And it
that's
doesn't have to be rude.
no, just you don't have to be rude and be, like, sassy, like, "No, I'm not doing that." No,
Oh,
just be
no, I don't feel comfortable with that. And I will
no.
say this, since we're talking about how to say no, and we've done other episodes about this, and we will always do some of those.
Mhm,
Um, when you have a problem saying no, then add a little something to it, right? Because no may feel so abrupt.
mhm.
Am I comfortable with it now? It took me a long time. Mm-mm. I don't even open my mm-mm. It's like, but you can add, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Mm.
No, I'm not going to be able to prioritize that. See, because what happens is not only are you able to say no, but you add that class to it and you're actually letting them understand why without explaining why. I'm not going to be able to prioritize that. I use that one. Ooh, I wish I could, but I'm not going to be able to prioritize that. Or I have other priorities that week, that month, that quarter. I have other prior. You know what? I have a long list of things that I'm working on, and I'm really excited about doing it. And I'm not going to be able to supersede what you need for what I need. It is so powerful, and those same people, the ones that come to you over and over again and dismiss what your non-negotiables are, they will start coming less.
Mm,
They'll
mm,
start coming less.
mm, mm, mm.
So it's powerful, right?
Like, wrote all that down in multiple colors. Stand out.
She act like we're not recording.
Oh, I forgot. I legit did. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Welcome
Listen,
to our world.
this is real deal here. Like this is real. This idea of what are yours? Like what
Mhm,
are the things? And if you're not sure how to get at them, what are the things that keep coming up for you? Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's spending a little alone time. Maybe it's splurging on something, one thing. Like maybe it's, maybe you want to take a weekend trip away and you don't know how to do that. Or for me, one of mine, again, this particular month of June is going to be going to get a massage, which I've been talking about for some time. I just haven't been prioritizing it, and I need to. My low back is like, girlfriend, what are you doing? So sometimes our non negotiables are things that are, kind of constant, and other times are for a period of time. So as Morgan was mentioning, this idea of saying, okay, I'm going to get them all in, that may be really hard. But you may say, like, for example, and this is one I haven't honored recently, is that on Tuesday I go to Whole Foods and get soup
mm,
because buy one get one half off. Okay, so I go because it's on sale because soup is like $10 and it's not that big. But the thing about it is that when I was doing that, I had food, nourishing food for days. I
mm,
didn't spend a lot of money to do it, so it was economical, it was nutritious, and just being in Whole Foods make me feel happy. Right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
all these things are being taken care of, and then what started happening, I was working on it every Tuesday, it would get to be the end of the day, then even if I did get there, it wasn't a restful, wonderful experience, and then my soup was sold out.
mm.
I have walked up to somebody's cart but then I remember what happened to you at Goodwill, and I was like, "Can't take this soup out there." It crossed my mind, though.
Oh my goodness. Girl, you crack me up.
Alright, so let's go ahead yeah, I'm a little crazy today. Let us get into some tapping.
Okay.
For those of you who are like, "I don't even know what they are.
Mm,
Um, I wanna claim them. I wanna start looking at them." we're going into the second half of the year soon. So it may be the time to go ahead, write them out, figure out what they are, and say, for these last 6 months, I didn't take care of them, but these next 6 months, I will. How will you prioritize yourself? And I love the second half. Like, to me, everyone gets excited over January 1st. I get super excited over July 1st, especially this year, but not going to tell you why yet. There's
Mm,
something cool coming July 1st. But to me, looking at the second half is where you really know, are you going to win or lose the game? It's in the
mm,
second half. Anything can happen in the second half if
mm.
you decide to put the time in it. So let's go ahead and get some tapping in about claiming our non-negotiables, or for you in the audience, claiming your non-negotiables. Morgan, I'm going to lead. Is that cool with you?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, Morgan. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this tapping on claiming non-negotiables. If
Mm,
this is your first time tapping with us, just know that this is a self-soothing modality. It is similar to acupuncture, but without the needles. And what you're going to do is you're going to start with thinking about, if you're struggling with non-negotiables, and let's face it, if you're in midlife, you probably are, or you're, claiming your yes, claiming your no. It may be challenging. Think about, what does that look like for you? Like, how difficult has that been on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being, I have absolutely no control over my life right now, and I'm being driven by everything instead of me actually taking the wheel and doing the driving. That might be a 9 or a 10, or it may be lower depending on how you're managing this. But maybe you'd like to do better. Go ahead and give yourself a number. It's not A, B, C, D, or F. It's just 0 to 10. Okay. There's no judgment attached to it. And what we're going to be looking to do is really kind of bring down the emotional connection you have to this, to see how you can start to release some of the feelings around this. Again, we never want to judge when we feel things aren't working the way that we want to. Like, oh, I wish it could be better. The thing about emotional freedom technique is to allow two things to coexist: the negativity or the things you want to release, along with the things that you want to embrace, the things that you wish. It's a way to have both of those two together. And that's why it's so powerful. That's why Morgan and I are addicted to it and we love it. So we're going to start on the side of the hand, which is the karate chop point. You'll hear us talk about this, the karate chop point. And just know as well, actually, I have it here. We do have a notebook that, if you want to get one of our journals showing you here, we have actually right in the beginning, where you can actually see what all those points are, and you'll be able to see how they connect to your body. They really do help you to release. So if you'd like to get a journal that will help you to outline how you're doing with this, you can always let us know. All right, ready to get started, Morgan?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Let's do this. All right. So even though I've bent and broken my boundaries to keep others comfortable,
Even though I've bent and broken my boundaries to keep others comfortable,
I deeply and completely honor where I am right now.
I deeply and completely honor where I am right now.
Even though I'm tired of always being available,
Even though I'm tired of always being available,
I choose to be available to me first.
I choose to be available to me first.
And even though it's scary to say, this matters to me,
Even though it's scary to say that this matters to me,
I'm willing to learn that I matter too.
I'm willing to learn that I matter too.
Okay, so to get us started, what we're going to do is take a really deep cleansing breath into the nose, out through the mouth. We're going to go ahead and get started on the eyebrow point. So this pressure to always say yes,
This pressure to always say yes,
the fear that I'll disappoint someone,
and the fear that I'll disappoint someone,
side of I, this habit of minimizing my needs,
this habit of minimizing my needs,
under I, this belief that I have to earn rest,
this belief that I have to earn rest,
under nose, the guilt when I protect my time,
the guilt when I protect my time.
chin point, I should be able to protect my time,
I should be able to protect my time.
collarbone, the resentment that builds quietly,
The resentment that builds quietly.
underarm, the anger I push down,
All the anger that I push down.
top of head, this exhaustion from over giving,
this exhaustion from overgiving.
Eyebrow point. I'm allowed to honor what restores me.
I'm allowed to honor what restores me.
Side of eye. I'm allowed to pause and protect my peace.
Hmm. I'm allowed to pause and protect my peace.
Under eye. My non-negotiables are valid,
My non-negotiables are valid,
even if no one understands them.
even if no one understands them.
Under nose. My time matters.
My time matters.
Chin. My joy matters.
My joy matters.
Underarm, or collarbone rather. My joy matters, even if people don't understand it.
My joy matters even if people don't understand it.
Stay there for a second. Underarm. I'm learning to choose myself without apology.
I'm learning to choose myself without apology.
Top of head. I am worth the boundaries I set.
I am worth the boundaries that I set.
Deep breath in. Now let's work on anchoring this in. Eyebrow point. I am rooted in truth.
I am rooted in truth.
Side of eye. I am aligned with peace.
I am aligned with peace.
Under eye. I listen to my body.
I listen to my body.
Under nose. I trust my instincts.
I trust my instincts.
Chin. I am creating a life that reflects what matters.
I'm creating a life that reflects what matters.
Everyone may not understand it. That's what I'm
Everyone
doing.
may not understand it,
But that's what I'm doing.
but that's what I'm doing.
Collarbone. I honor myself every day.
I honor myself every day.
Underarm. My non-negotiables are not selfish.
My non-negotiables are not selfish.
Top of head. My non-negotiables are sacred.
My non-negotiables are sacred.
They are mine.
They are mine.
And they're worth it.
And they're worth it.
Take a deep breath in. Pause at the top of that breath. Hold it. And then let it go. Place your hand over your heart, your belly if you can. Take another deep breath in. And then repeat this at the bottom of your breath. I don't have to prove my worth.
I don't have to prove my worth.
I can protect my peace.
I can protect my peace.
I am willing to protect myself
I'm willing to protect myself
and establish the non-negotiables that I need
and establish non-negotiables that I need
to feel 100% myself.
to feel 100% myself.
Okay, let that go. Sometimes at the end of a tapping, you may feel the need to kind of like just roll your head a little bit, almost like when we're doing our grounding. You may feel the need to just kind of roll your head a little bit from side to side. You may feel a little tightness. You may feel release, but a lot of times you may feel yourself tensing up because as you're saying certain things and your body's reacting to them, the reaction might be to kind of tense your shoulders. So I always like at the end of tapping, even if we don't always do it, to take your shoulders kind of up, back, around, and down and kind of allow yourself to kind of settle back into your body. So that may look like, moving your neck back and forth. Morgan likes to kind of, you do this move with the back of your neck sometimes, Morgan. Whatever feels like this is going to help me to release and really get it out, go ahead and do that. How'd that feel for you, Morgan?
You know what? I'm ready for a nap. That one calmed me down quite a bit. Like I was yawning and everything, man.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah, it's that release of energy. It's funny again, I too was feeling super relaxed. The funny thing is for both of us, what was the top one? Non-negotiable for me, stillness; for you, rest. And so sometimes when you are in the midst of tapping or grounding, the thing that the non-negotiable that you are sometimes neglecting is the one that's going to come to the fore. Stop ignoring it. It's okay. Look at you. Forgive yourself.
I'm not sorry.
Forgive yourself for ignoring. Let me put our link up. If you did this along with us and you're like, I loved that, then we want to invite you to tap on our link, visit bit.ly/tap-chat, and you can get an appointment with us. The first session, of course, is always free. It's kind of exploratory discovery and gives you a demonstration of what it looks like for you to be tapping along with us. And as well, I just want to let you know that we have a new easing coming up, probably in 5 weeks or so, but for right now, you can still get our spring edition of the Getting to After Easing. It is a virtual magazine. It takes you through not only tapping, grounding, there's a place for you to go out and get recordings. It's just boss. It's boss. And so you just go to bit.ly/G2A-spring. Morgan, what's your final word on non-negotiables today?
Make it a non-negotiable and just do it. Boom.
I love that. That's perfect. That's a perfect ending to the session. If you know good and well that you or someone that you love is really struggling with this, bookmark this session, bookmark this particular podcast, because we created it for you, but also for us. We'll be watching it again too. If you think we don't watch our own podcast, we do, because we write this, we think about, our audience, but we are the audience too. And so just the same way that you're probably forgetting to do some stuff, we are too. I don't think I can take a nap right now. I wish I could. But I will say this, whatever your non-negotiables are, go after them. If you say, I need to get myself together in the next couple of weeks, but I'm going to start in July, go ahead and start in July. It's going to feel amazing when you do. So peace out. We're out. This has been another episode of Getting to After. We'll see you next time. Morgan, thank you for hanging out with me.
Always a joy.
All right.
Love you guys. Bye.